Welcome to the Create Your Empowered Self podcast. This how-to podcast is focused on empowering you to live your best life by incorporating the principles of the law of attraction, NLP, meditation, and other spiritual teachings. I'm Jeannie Hall, a certified NLP practitioner and creative empowerment coach. Let's get empowered. Hello, and welcome to the first podcast in my new Create Your Empowered Self podcast. I'm Jeannie Hall, your host, and I started this new podcast. I am the host of another podcast called Writing in Your Jammies, but I started this one because I realized that my old podcast was not really in alignment with what I really wanted to do, which is to help people and to showcase spiritual principles like law of attraction, like neuro-linguistic programming or NLP, which I'm a certified practitioner in. And I am here as a coach to help people to improve their lives in whatever aspect they need. And I discovered that Writing in Your Jammies was specific to authors and writers, and that's just not the direction I needed to go in. So I started a new podcast, and I am here to help anyone who needs it. So I hope this podcast is informative, and I hope it helps you discover your own power to change your life. And the reason I went into this and the reason I became a coach was because I discovered the law of attraction and I discovered other spiritual principles, including NLP, and it really helped me to change my life and really alter it for the better. And some of the things that I've been able to do by following these spiritual teachings have included losing 50 pounds. When I started out, I was obese and diabetic and had high blood pressure and a lot of health problems. Since then, I've lost 50 pounds. Like I said, I've become a walker and jogger, and I am reducing and eliminating the medication that I had to be put on due to my health issues, become healthier overall, and it's made a huge difference in that aspect of my life. I also became published and am the author of 6 books. I became less fearful and felt less out of control by following these teachings. I, of course, started my own podcast, and this is my second podcast that I'm running now. I started my own website and coaching business specifically to help people because I discovered my real purpose in life was to be there for you, to be there as a problem solver and a facilitator to help you find your own purpose and follow that and be happy in that, because life is short and it's too short to be unhappy and to live that way. And you don't have to. It is a choice on whether or not we have a happy, fulfilled life or a miserable, sad life. And after discovering that for myself and discovering my own power, it made me really passionate about getting out there and helping you discover your own power. I am soon to become an online instructor as well, so look out for that. And if you're interested in my past work, I will have a link to my other videos on YouTube, which is under the Writing in Your Jammies podcast. I also will have a link to my YouTube videos and also my old podcast if you're interested. So check that out. And today I'd like to discuss the spiritual law of attraction concept of being a deliberate creator in your own life. And making that change myself, like I said, has been a complete game changer for me and has completely altered my point of view and my mindset. And I feel like I'm a different person than the one I was before. I'm a much happier person. I'm a much more fulfilled person. And I want to help you get there as well. So what I'm going to talk about today and the concept of deliberate creation is something that teachers like Abraham Hicks talks about, that we create our realities based on what we think and what we feel. And if we apply logic to this concept, then basically when you feel bad or grumpy or depressed, it's because you're thinking bad or grumpy or depressed thoughts. When you're thinking good, happy, and joyful thoughts, law of attraction mirrors that back to you and reflects it back. So it causes you to automatically feel better, happier, and more joyful overall. Now, I'm not saying if you're in a lot of pain and you focus on a happier thought that you're immediately going to be healed. But over time, you will begin to feel better. These are incremental changes. They do not happen overnight for most people. They can, but it's something you'll need to practice some patience in, but it is so worthwhile if you're willing to go down this new road and have a journey and realize that you are already on a spiritual journey. Just being here, that you are a spiritual being in a human body, it changes your perspective in such a great way. And so if you feel like you're living an angry life or an unhappy life or an unfulfilled life, or you just feel like you're kind of wandering lost through your life and you don't know what you're doing and you're not happy with that, you have the choice to focus and concentrate your life in whichever direction you want to go. So here's an example of something that is my own personal example. I used to approach my work life in a very negative way and with a very negative thought pattern. And for example, one specific instance of this was that back whenever I was scheduled to work on Thanksgiving Day as a retail manager. And at that time, I highly resented working on that specific holiday. I just thought it was wrong. I hated it. I went to work that day. I had to be there at 3 p.m. because we were working we opened at 4 p.m. and stayed open till 11 p.m. that night. And I had to be back the very next morning at 6 a.m. It was crazy. And I remember being there on Thanksgiving Day. My family didn't even come to be with me on Thanksgiving because they said, what's the point? You're going to have to go to work at 3, so we're not even going to get to enjoy the day together. So they didn't even come. And I just remember hating everything, hating everyone, was just feeling nasty and hateful and horrible the whole way to work. And I remember feeling like I was being forced to be there against my will. But I also felt like if I refused to do it, that I would risk losing my job. And at that time, I did not feel like I could afford to do that. Like many people, like many of us, I felt money was a motivating factor. And to pay the bills, you got to work is what I felt at the time and what I thought at the time. And because I was fearful of losing my job, I did go in and work on Thanksgiving. So I didn't realize, though, that perspective coming from fear and coming from scarcity and being motivated not by having a higher purpose, not by wanting to help, but because I felt like I was fearful of not having enough money, because that was the reason I was going into work that evening. It was leaving me in an extremely helpless perspective, and it was leaving me feeling very unhelpful about feeling my way through life. I didn't feel like I was in control at all. And though I didn't realize it then, what it was really making me was a victim. That mindset of fear and lack and scarcity was turning me into a victim of my own life. And that is not a happy place to be. And when I went into work, I had a very hard time not snapping at everyone, my coworkers, my customers, my manager, everyone. I just wanted to bite everybody's head off. I just didn't want to be there. I resented it, and I had to work very hard at not just being nasty. And I looked at every single customer who walked through that door that evening with really hateful thoughts like, it's because of jerks like you I have to be here tonight. Or how dare you show up in here tonight, ruining our chance as employees to enjoy this holiday. So I put all the blame and all my negative emotion toward everybody who walked in. I'm sure I was giving them hateful looks as they came in the door because I resented being there so much. And you can imagine also how I felt about the higher ups in the company who'd made that decision. They had instituted this decision in the first place because it was a company that didn't used to be open on Thanksgiving. And then they started opening on Thanksgiving. Now, the reasons for that, I have my opinion and you may have yours, but whatever reason they did it, I resented it. I felt like that was unjust and uncalled for and unnecessary and greedy. And I had all sorts of feelings about that really focused me in a negative way. And in that victimized, angry frame of mind, of course, what kind of evening did I have? It was terrible. One bad experience after another. Because, this is why, negative thought equals negative feeling, which equals negative outcomes. If you're feeling nasty and you're thinking nasty thoughts, you're not going to have a beautiful day. You're just not. Because law of attraction is all about attraction. And if you are sending out negativity, that is what you will receive. So maybe you're thinking as you're reading this or hearing this, yeah, working on Thanksgiving or other holidays sucks. Or maybe even you're thinking that's just wrong to have to work on a holiday. Or you may be in the opposite court. You may be saying, whatever, I like shopping on Black Friday early, so suck it up, Buttercup, right? Maybe you don't care. But whatever your opinion of businesses being open on holidays is, the problem here wasn't actually that I was having to work on Thanksgiving. The problem was the way I was thinking about it. And the problem was that my specific thoughts about working on Thanksgiving were causing these negative feelings in me. And maybe you have a similar thought process happening in your life right now. Anytime we allow our circumstances to dictate our thoughts, or in other words, whenever I thought I shouldn't have to work on Thanksgiving, my life sucks, I was causing my reality to echo my negative thoughts. So maybe this is happening to you too in some aspect of your life. So maybe you want a relationship. Maybe you're single and really want a relationship, want to live happily ever after with someone. So let me ask you a question if this is you. What is your honest opinion of the dating world right now? And answer honestly. How do you feel about dating? Now, if you're thinking or saying something like, dating sucks, there's no decent men or women out there, right? Whoever you like to date. If you're thinking there are no decent men out there or there are no decent women out there, then I gotta tell you, that train of thought is your problem. That is why you're not attracting the mate that you want into your life. Because by believing that the entire gender you have to choose a mate from is awful, you've created this huge block to your ability to find someone to love. And to quote Abraham, a thought you've thought for a long time becomes a belief. And if you believe something, it becomes your truth. It becomes your reality. So even though you may intellectually want a long-term relationship, even with all your heart you want it, and you want to find your soulmate, the way you are thinking and feeling about that is stopping you from having it. You're probably stopping yourself from even meeting anyone decent at all because your mindset is, everyone that I try and date always sucks. So if you're making these kind of sweeping generalizations, you're really stopping the good people that you could be meeting and could be dating from meeting you. How? Because you believe the tremendously incorrect notion that all men and the women in the world, in the dating world anyway, suck. So if that's your honest opinion and how you honestly feel about it, you're blocking your own wonderful manifestation of a relationship from coming to you. So if you keep meeting and going out on dates with people you think suck, that's what's happening. You're reflecting what your belief system is and what your thoughts are. And so that's who you keep meeting. So every time you go on a date, maybe you get hopeful and you go, well, maybe this one won't suck. I think everybody sucks deep down, but you know what? I'm going to go out. This person asked me out. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go out with them. And then the whole date goes horribly wrong. And the reason for that is because deep down you have this belief that all men suck or all women suck. And if that's your honest belief, that's what you're going to have to change to make your relationship that you really want happen. So let's go back to my Thanksgiving situation. I was blaming my outside circumstances for the way I felt that evening. So in my mind, it was customers who shop on holidays' fault that I felt shitty. It was corporate's fault. It was the CEO of the company I worked for's fault. It was everybody's fault but mine. I was the victim in that scenario over and over again. And I was giving all the power, all my power, to who I was blaming. And that included the customers. It included corporate. It included the CEO, like I just mentioned. And it included whoever created Black Friday on the day after Thanksgiving to begin with. Because ultimately, that's what caused Thanksgiving to be encroached on, right? So what was I doing with my power? I was giving it all away. And where did that leave me? That left me working on Thanksgiving night and feeling really shitty about it. Now, did I want to feel shitty? Do any of us? Let me challenge you to do something that totally changed my life for the better after that happened. Take back your power in a precise and deliberate way. Realize that you are the one in charge of the way you think and feel in any given moment. I began a much more deliberate way of thinking myself, and I began to create awareness around how I was going through my day. And because for a long time, work in my mind equaled sucky, while my time off equaled bliss. I saw work as the evil in my life. I saw work as this necessary evil for the paycheck, for the money, to pay the bills. We have to have money to live in this world. That's just the way this world works. I get that. But because of that, I had turned it into this nasty scenario where I had to go to work. And because I felt forced, because it didn't feel like something I wanted, then it came into this very negative space for me. And so I had to change my thought process around that. So what I started to do is I was very careful and deliberate about what my thoughts were whenever I was going to work, whenever I was thinking about work, and whenever I was actually at work. And I started to look for what I enjoyed about my workday. And I started to focus as exclusively as I could on those enjoyable experiences. So, for example, I would think about work and I would think about looking forward to see some specific person at work that I enjoyed being around because she always made me smile. She was such a happy person and I just really enjoyed her company. So I thought, oh, so-and-so's working today. I'm going to get to see them. And she's always so cheerful and so happy. I can't wait to see her. She's going to tell me about her new puppy that she got. I can't wait to talk about that. And I started to focus on that as I drove to work. I would start looking forward to, in my own job, I would start to think about something we call re-merchandising, which is basically resetting a table with merchandise on it to make it look really beautiful. And I would focus on, oh, what am I going to do? We've got all this new stuff coming in, and I'm going to totally reset that table and make it look so pretty. I can't wait to do that. I love doing that. That's fun. For me, that's fun, and it's a creative process I enjoy. So I was thinking about that. Another thing I started to do was I started to meditate on how I wanted to feel, not just at work, but in general. And by doing that, I was starting to take responsibility for being the deliberate creator that I am. And I got a secret for you. Listen close. You are a deliberate creator too. Or you can be. On one of my old Writing in Your Jammies podcasts that I created, I talked about how I came back from a vacation with this new, deliberate, positive mindset. And it was the first time I came back from a vacation, basically from my whole working life, which has been going on for 30 years now, or just about, I guess, 25, 27 years, something like that I've been working. And for the first time in all of those years, I came back from a vacation and I didn't feel bad. And this is how I did that. Because what I used to do was I would focus on how I was dreading the return to the grind of the job, right? The old angry at Thanksgiving customers me would have only been dreading it. I always used to do that. It would be the Sunday or whatever, the day before I had to go back to work. And instead of enjoying that whole last day off with my husband, all I would be focusing on was, oh crap, tomorrow I got to go to work tomorrow. Oh, it's going to suck. I got to get up early. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to go back to the grind. Meh, woe is me. That's what I would always think before. This time though, instead, I focused on, you know what? All the spring merchandise is going to be there now because we had a truck whenever I was gone, and there's going to be all this new cool spring stuff that I haven't seen yet. I can't wait to see what's in the garden section. I can't wait to see what new spring blouses is in the ladies department or whatever, right? And everybody's got a different situation, but I started to think about what I could see that I was looking forward to instead. I thought about how the weather had turned nice and that I could get to walk through this beautiful tree-covered, tree-lined road that was a little bit of forestry actually behind where I work. And I would get to walk that again on my lunch break. And I started thinking how nice that was going to be again. And I looked forward to showing my coworkers all of the pictures that I'd taken on vacation. And I knew they would be delighted to see them. I couldn't wait to show them. And all of those things filled me with so much joy that as I was driving to work that Monday morning, going back from vacation, I felt joy instead of feeling grumpy and resentful that my vacation was over. And that whole day, that whole Monday, I had a wonderful day at work. And I went home with a smile on my face. And it made all the difference. And it really does go to show that we're in control of how we feel and how we react to things. It is a choice. If you make yourself aware of it, you can decide how things go, whether they go well or whether they go badly. Honestly, it's how you look at it before you go to it. Before you start your day, think of it and think of it how you want it to go. You really are that powerful. You really can dictate whether your day goes beautifully and you have a happy day and you come home smiling, or whether you have a horrible day and everything falls apart and everything goes wrong and you come home in a horrible, nasty mood. It really, really, really is up to you. And I know you might be thinking, no, I can't control what my boss does when I go to work. I can't control what this person does or that person does or who I interact with or how this happens or how this happens. I can't control any of that. That might be true. I'm not going to deny that. But what I will say is you get to control first how you react to it, and also how you plan your day before it ever happens. That part is up to you. You do have control of that. And how you react to how everybody comes at you or to you is up to you as well. And the key here, either way, is to be completely aware and deliberate about it. And once you begin to really realize that you are the one that holds all the power in your life, everything begins to change. Now, does that mean you're going to wake up tomorrow morning? Let's say today you heard the podcast and you're like, I don't know, let me think about it. And you decide, okay, I'm going to try it. Tomorrow I'm going to try it. Tomorrow before I go to work, I'm going to lay in bed and I'm going to picture my day going really well. And I'm going to be in a good mood when I go into work. And I'm going to think about all the positive things I can. Now, does that mean you're going to do it for one day and then the following morning you're going to wake up with all of your dreams coming true and sitting in your lap or at your feet? Is that going to happen? Probably not. But what it does mean is that you start to turn the tide toward a more positive and joyful existence. Because the more positive and joyful you become, the faster and the more likely in the first place it is that those dreams will come to you. And they may come one at a time. And they may come in a way that our impatient, instant gratification world would deem too slow. But isn't it better that they come to you at all instead of never coming? That's a decision too. They will come to you as soon as you become a match to them. That is how the law of attraction works. And the thing that you want from the depths of your own soul will come to you as long as you are being a positive match to it. So as long as you make it your deliberate intention to do these things, this is how you'll bring it to you. You'll need to picture it in your mind's eye. Picture the happiest and best outcome for your day, for the next month, for the next year. What is it that you want? What is it that you want to accomplish? Then feel the emotion of what that would feel like. What would it feel like to get what you're dreaming of? Really? All the different aspects of it. How is that going to make you feel? And feel that emotion with everything inside of you. Then meditate on that. Close your eyes, shut out the world, and focus exclusively on that feeling and on that dream. Wait then, after you've meditated on it, for the inspiration to strike you on what action you might take next to go in that direction. Now, does that mean that you're going to wake up, you're going to be inspired to go buy a lottery ticket, and you're going to win $100 million that day? Probably not. It's, again, not instant gratification. But what you will get is you'll get ideas. The more you do this, and this does need to become a regular practice, preferably a daily practice, is changing your mindset overall. And once you do that, you will start being inspired to take the next step toward your goal, toward your dream. And then the only other thing you have to do is be patient enough to wait for it. And I'm not going to lie, that's not easy. But if you do it and you continue and you keep moving forward and you keep working on your mindset and you keep picturing what you want, it will happen to you. It will come to you. So enjoy creating your life. Would you like help on how to create your life in a more deliberate way? Are you fascinated by what I just said, but aren't sure actually how to facilitate that? I would be happy to help you with that, especially if you feel ready to be more empowered in your life in general. So feel free to schedule a 30-minute session with me today. And I hope you enjoyed this first podcast. I hope you'll join me. I will be on twice a week, every Wednesday and every Saturday. I'm going to record new podcasts. So thank you for joining me on this special first edition, and I hope to see you again. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for listening to the Create Your Empowered Self podcast. If you've enjoyed this content or found it helpful, please let me know by leaving a review. I upload podcasts every Wednesday and Saturday, so subscribe to receive these regular updates. Now, go out there and live a more empowered life.